Good afternoon. I appreciate you all spending your lunch hour with us. I am Holly Fowler-Martins and proud to be PEP's board chair. I'd like to extend a special welcome to elected office holders that have joined us today. State Senator Nikki Antonio, State Representative Juanita Brent, County Council Member Meredith Turner, City Council members Deborah Gray, Jenny Spencer, and Richard Starr. Duncan McMillan is here from Senator John Husted's office, and former Ohio Supreme Court Justice Yvette McGee Brown and Melody Stewart. And thank you all to our supporters, and just wanted to shout out our premier sponsors, in particular, Benish, Educational Services of Northeast Ohio, Key Bank, and One Digital. Thanks for your support. So before we begin our lunch, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our CEO, Habiba Rashid Grimes. She announced earlier this year that she'll be leaving PEP at the end of June. It has been an incredible honor to work closely with Habiba these past few years, and she leads this organization with grace and purpose. In her tenure, she led PEP through the challenging COVID years, emerging as a profound advocate for how trauma impacts childhood development, particularly for those young people who are part of marginalized populations. She began working as a one-on-one aide at one of PEP's day treatment centers over 20 years ago. She ascended in her career, becoming clinical supervisor, clinical director, and then chief clinical officer. In 2018, she was chosen to succeed Frank Fesser as CEO, becoming the third CEO in PEP's long-term history since 1971. Habiba has brought extraordinary compassion, commitment, and expertise to PEP, always placing the needs of kids and families at the center of every decision. Her inclusive leadership style allowed PEP to build a strategic framework that engaged diverse voices and made space for many to lead and bring their collective vision and wisdom to the work. She leaves an impressive foundation for PEP's next CEO. You may have heard and read last week that our announcement of Eric Gordon will be her successor. Eric is well known in the education sector for his collaborative, can-do leadership style. He's laser focused on doing what is best for kids. He and Habiba have enjoyed a strong relationship through the years. Their relationship and shared passion for the well-being of young people will certainly ensure a smooth transition. We are excited for what to come. Habiba, thank you for giving so much of yourself to PEP. You will be missed.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am just wanting first to express deep, deep gratitude to all of you for being here today, to PEP's Board of Directors for your support, guidance, leadership over the years. And if you're in the room, our PEP board members, I invite you to please raise a hand. We would love to greet you. Thank you. Our board members and emeritus members, thank you. To my PEP colleagues, I want to say thank you. Your trust and confidence over the years have buoyed me through really difficult times, difficult decisions, and your tenacity over the years has inspired and fueled me to be the advocate that I find myself determined to be in this time. So I want to thank you, and if you all would raise your hands, I just want the people here to see you and celebrate you. Thank you. And to the young people who are joining us today, thank you. You are the inspiration for my words today. You are the inspiration for my work and leadership. I pray you always know that I see you in myself, and I see myself in you. And your futures will be very bright because of your own determination to succeed. So if you would like to raise your hand and be recognized, I welcome you to do so. Yes. Thank you for being here. These past 7 years of leadership have blessed me immensely. I'm in awe of what we've been able to achieve together, even when things were frightening and uncertain for PEP and the people we serve and the community we are part of. And we are here today as a testament to resilience. That is our legacy, resilience and determination. And I'm grateful for all we've done together and modeled for our community in these challenging times. Before I go further, I also want to take a moment to pause and remember one of PEP's founders, Dr. Lee Maxwell, who passed away in February of this year. And I first met Lee as a school psychology intern, so I would be remiss not to celebrate this man today. When I came to know Lee, he was a passionate and tenacious leader, a clinical thinker who got outside the box and outside the bounds. He was feisty. If you didn't rise to the standard of care, you knew it. But he also planted in me this determination, this fiery spirit of determination to meet young people where they are and give them what they needed. And their behavior sometimes was telling us what they needed in ways that were uncomfortable for us to sit with. And he would ask us to be present with those needs and persist through those needs. And I am just so honored to have been developed under his leadership. The high standards he held us to persist at PEP today, and he nurtured leaders in each and every one of us. So please join me in a moment of silence as we honor Dr. Lee Maxwell. Thank you. My comments today are inspired by a song that a dear sister friend that many of you know, Erica Merritt, introduced me to. And when she shared it with me, it stirred my soul in a really profound way. The song was written and shared in a time just a couple years after the pandemic, and in a moment where I felt that all of us as a society were trying to find our footing. Just a few years after COVID, but also the horror of George Floyd's murder. And it's titled, "Some of Us Are Brave." It's beautifully sung by Danielle Ponder and inspired, I've come to learn, by a Black feminist or women's studies text titled, "But Some of Us Are Brave." And if you know me, you probably know that I'm a student of Black feminists. Their vision for shared humanity and the upliftment of humanity fuels me. And whenever I speak publicly outside of PEP, I say this because folks need to know, like I'm gonna drop an Audre Lorde quote in the mix, Alice Walker, Bell Hooks, and those folks are not names that everyone might readily know, but they've fueled me, led my leadership. And so that this song would be inspired by them really moved me to learn. But when I first listened to it, I imagined the bravery of those folks who were on the front lines of protests in that time, in 2020, the struggle for Black lives. And I did not necessarily feel like I could own the bravery that Danielle Ponder was speaking to. I felt more gratitude in hearing the song than I felt something I could claim for myself. But recently, as Spotify will do, it came up in my playlist. And I was driving at the time, and I'm remembering it as a busy time, so I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the other songs that had come on. But this song caught me. And I connected with something different in the lyrics on that day, something that I could see in myself. And it was an awareness that to stand in the gap for young people who are so greatly marginalized because of their disabilities in a culture that centers ableism, because of their struggles with poverty in a culture that values affluence, because of their being predominantly Black in a culture that's struggling still with racism, I realized that I was indeed brave, and that the people I'd been leading over these last several years were indeed brave, are indeed brave, because of what we do each day in service to Northeast Ohio's young people. We are brave when we show up each day believing young people who struggle in the classroom are capable of engaging in rigorous activities, academic, social, emotional, and overcoming painful pasts and circumstances. We are courageous when we show up creating opportunities for young people with significant developmental needs so that they get to have opportunities that are the same kinds of experiences that their peers have in a public school. We're brave when we show up helping young people and their loved ones to see a hopeful path forward together with the support of their village. And we do all of this with kindness and empathy and compassion. We are brave. And we do these things integrating the philosophy of REID, our understanding of it, a concept founded in the era of the civil rights movement. With advancements from neuroscience and a historically contextualized perspective and approach to trauma-informed care, we bravely chart a path forward with our legacy well in tow. And we know that when we forget how individual and collective experiences ultimately work together to either help or harm children, we lose our potential impact. And so we lean into holding that awareness, trying to influence that understanding, those systems that are operating in that way, to create change for young people. And we are not alone in our bravery. We've had the support of many people in our community who've urged us on, encouraged us to remain brave, shared their expertise and locked arms with us in the face of adversity and backlash. From our board members to our staff and leaders to community partners and community leaders. To the young people we serve, examples of bravery that create opportunities, affirm life, and unleash potential are all around us. Here in Cuyahoga County, in this city of Cleveland, I would be remiss if I didn't mention elected officials and their appointees who have remained so brave in charting this path forward. I'm honored to be among the brave who make PEP's mission possible and to be passing the baton of leadership to Eric Gordon, who I'm certain will lead with as much bravery as he's shown our community's young people throughout his career. Eric, welcome to PEP. Your support, your support and consultation over the years has been a blessing. And there's so much excitement awaiting your courageous leadership that you will be in the very good hands of my colleagues and young people. Thank you all again for the time to get today. As we transition into today's program, I am going to invite up some courageous, brave awardees. First is the Ohio Department of Medicaid Director, Maureen Corcoran. And Holly Martin's PEP's board chair will be joining me. Maureen, I got to know you during my time as Chief Clinical Officer at PEP, and you were a champion for young people with this brilliant mind around policy that really blew me away. Over time, you transferred the knowledge that you held about young people with complex and multi-system needs to PEP so that we have become a powerhouse for advocating for these young people. We then saw you move into the role of Director of Medicaid, where you have centered and championed young people with complex need who I often say are on the margins of the margins with every effort. You've done so through adversity that I can only imagine. You've done so and persisted and supported a community of over a dozen CMEs, nearly 20 CMEs, as we've sought to uplift the work of Ohio Rise and deliver on our promise to provide care coordination that was equitable and accessible and supportive to young people who in Ohio did not have that opportunity before. We thank you for that, and we want to offer this award in honor of your courageous and brave leadership. And I will read the comments here. In recognition of Maureen Corcoran's extraordinary leadership on behalf of young people who need systems to support their growth and well-being throughout her career, Maureen has been a strong, reliable voice who centers the needs of children and families. Through her example and coaching, she teaches the rest of us how we can show up as advocates and champions. Thanks to her courage and wisdom, Positive Education Program is better able to serve its mission to support young people to overcome and thrive. Thank you so much. All right. Next, I'd like to invite John M. Sada Jr., partner in charge of the Jones Day Cleveland office and emeritus member of PEP's board of directors, and Yvette McGee Brown, partner in charge of inclusion and advancement. John, thank you. Thank you for being a champion and wise advisor to PEP for many, many, many years. And thank you for being a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion in Northeast Ohio. I'm going to read here because I was able to learn a little bit about your work in this space as a firm, and want you to know we are celebrating the ongoing commitment here in Northeast Ohio and are presenting you with this PEP Rally Award. Because Jones Day has demonstrated the firm commitment to ensuring commitment to providing equal employment opportunities, and more profoundly, as your website shares, boldly, I will say, a recognition that a broad, diverse group of lawyers is important to the firm's future and meets the needs of its clients in a diverse world. We thank you for that persistence. Yvette, we thank you for your leadership and diligence in advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion at Jones Day in your role and in our community at large. We are truly grateful for the persistent, courageous, brave leadership you both offer, and to the firm for providing an example to all of us as institutions and individuals that this persistence is the right way forward. Thank you. All right. I'm going to read here. All right. In recognition of the ways Jones Day's Cleveland office has been a partner to Positive Education Program since PEP's very first days, from the initial incorporation to decades of board service from the firm's leaders and extraordinary philanthropic support, Jones Day has strengthened PEP's ability to support young people to overcome and thrive. Thank you so much. So Yvette, I should have mentioned you are one of our panelists, and so we're going to transition into the panel portion of the morning, where we have been having so much fun over the last few years with panels during this morning celebration of PEP and our work and mission. And this morning, Director Corcoran and Yvette have graciously offered to support us in getting questions from young people that are here with us about your work. And
you know, Maureen and I have known each other since we were children.
Oh, I didn't know this. Okay.
Maureen and I have known each other since we were children. We can't believe how long it's been, and I'm not going to tell you, but it's a pleasure to be up here with her.
All right. Well, thank you. That makes this all the more sweet to know you all have been on this courageous march from a long time. Not that long. A long time. All right. So I have the pleasure of inviting young people forward who are going to ask questions with the support of our colleague, Deanna Moore, PEP's Communications Director. And our first question is from Noah. Hi, Noah.
Hi.
And it's for both our panelists.
Hello. Hi, I'm Noah. I'm a kid in seventh grade in PEP Hopewell. And my question for you today is, did you always think you will be this successful even when you were a kid? And what did you do to be so successful in the long term?
Noah, thank you for asking that question. I guess, you know what, I don't think that success is something that you kind of arrive at. I think it's about all the friendships, the people who have helped me. I wouldn't be where I am doing what I'm doing if it weren't for being able to look to friends and colleagues, many of whom are here in this room. And so I guess my encouragement to you is you have around you all the friends and the support you need to get to do whatever it is you want to do in your life, as long as it's something you love. You've got to have the joy and the passion in your heart, no matter what the obstacles are.
I think that is excellent advice. And the only thing I would add is this, like, I grew up in a neighborhood where there wasn't much. My mother was single. She had me when she was very young, and I have 2 younger brothers. And so she worked 2 jobs most of the time I was growing up. And the only thing I knew is I wanted to see what more there was. But like Maureen said, I had teachers who recognized something in me before I could see it. And so I didn't really have a vision of what success looked like. I just wanted more. And these teachers recognized something in me and kept pushing me forward and challenging me to take tougher classes and to reach for things that in the moment felt scary, but they surrounded me with the support to help me believe that I could do it. And I think, like Maureen said, if you hold on to that, there's a village of people around you. I like to call them angels on your path who will get you to where you want to go.
Thank you, Nicholas. That was an excellent question. I think you got some great advice there. Next up is Riley, and she has a question for Director Corcoran. Hi, Riley. Y'all are so brave. This isn't easy.
No, it isn't.
That when I was that age.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Riley, and I'm a 4th grader at PEP Chestnut. And I have questions. What happens if someone has mental health problems and they need medicine but can't afford it?
Riley, the most important thing about what you said is you have noticed that somebody needs some help, right? You can see that they may have a mental health problem or things may not be going well at home. And the most important thing you can do, everybody can do, is to say, are you okay? Can I help you? If you find someone who can't pay for their medicine, there are lots of organizations around every community in Ohio that will help them and find out whether they might be able to get on Medicaid and we pay for medicines. There's a lot of people who are willing to help if we ask them. So thank you for asking the question. You're very brave.
All right. Elliot is our next student coming up to ask his question, and he has this question for both of you. How can we make sure kids get the recreational activities they need to stay regulated and calm? Was that it? All right.
Oh, well, I think one of the things we have to do as adults is make sure that we have green space around, because so often we talk about organized activities. It's just a matter of letting kids go outside, you know, getting them off their screens, letting them be out with nature, sit sometimes with themselves. Sometimes we need to be quiet. I worry that we do so much with screen time that kids just don't have comfort being by themselves and enjoying nature and looking at what's around them in quiet time. Also, government has a role to make sure that we provide those spaces. Whenever we're building houses or building buildings, we ought to make sure there's green space there. They give all of us the opportunity to enjoy it. So that's our obligation. Your obligation as a child and as other young people is to put the screen down, put the phone down, put the game control down, and walk outside. It's a wonderful place.
I said it off mic, I'll say it on mic. We all need to touch grass, as my children will say. Thank you again, Elliot. Our next student is Devin, and he has a question for Ms. McKee Brown.
Like this? Yep, okay. Hi, my name is Devin. I was a student for PEP Phoenix. I graduated from there, and before I came to PEP, oh, thank you. You're all too kind. Thank you. Thank you. Before I came to PEP, some of the teachers I had didn't seem to understand my disability, and some would even mock me. At PEP, it's not like that. The teachers and other staff have the skills and resources to help me, and the systems that serve kids. How can we be sure the workers who are hired have the skills and training needed to successfully work with kids who have disabilities?
Well, I think I know PEP, that they go through an extensive process to make sure that they're hiring high quality people who care about kids. The other thing is that I think when young professionals come in, they learn from the environment that's around them. And so the teachers and the staff that are there help let people who are coming new into the organization to know this is how we do things here. And whenever a student feels that somebody is mocking them or not treating them fairly, then they should go to people that they trust, that person can then intercede on their behalf. You're not in this alone. You have a whole village of people who will make sure that if somebody is at an organization that doesn't need to be there or can't operate within the culture that the organization has set, that person needs to be exited, and there are ways to do that.
Thank you for answering my question. Thank you for your time.
Devin, Ms. McGee said she thinks you're a future politician. I would say CEO. You know, you never know. Bright things in your future. Thank you for your questions. Okay, our next guest is Alania. Thank you for that correction. And she has a question for all of us. So Elena, please ask your question.
Hi, my name is Elena, and I get Ohio Rise Care coordination from PEP Connections. When I listen to artists like Billie Eilish, Melanie Martinez, Taylor Swift, I feel like their lyrics help me understand more than, like they understand me more than actual people. Young people like me need adults to hear and appreciate our stories. How can we help adults understand how important it is to give us time to tell our stories? And which music artists do you feel like understand you more than people?
All right. So I will say just quickly, because y'all might not know this about me, but you have named some amazing songwriters, and I love a beautiful songwriter or a songwriter who can write beautiful lyrics. And so I mentioned Danielle Ponder. But sometimes what gets me through my days is hip hop. Injustice makes me feel a rage that needs a way to be processed. And I find hip hop is an art form that gives voice to the oppressed and gives voice to the rage sometimes. So like, Kendrick Lamar, I'll toss in something he's done. And then from, way back in the day, there's some hip hop artists like Nas that, give voice, Tupac Shakur, give voice to so I'm not using it in the wrong way.
So I have a lot of different artists that I listen to, but there's two that I think about. One, because my youngest, I have a 28-year-old son who wants the corner office without the work, but that's a whole different subject. But there's a song by Regina Bell that I've been listening to recently because it says, "If I could, I'd give you the world and I'd make your path so smooth if I could, but that's not life." And then the song, when I feel like I'm overwhelmed or things aren't going the way I want, I listen to gospel, and one is Donnie McClurkin. He sings this song called "Stand." When you feel like the world is against you and you feel like you just can't face it anymore, just stand, and God will fight your battles for you. And that's kind of what I go to. Kirk Franklin's another one. Yeah, he gives you good music that you can also bounce your head to, but it's also a message. And so sometimes you just need that. Sometimes there are days, no offense to my colleagues at Jones Day, but sometimes there are days when I drive into the office and I just got to take a deep breath. And I have to put on something that's going to get me up to know what I've got to face when I walk in the door. And not because of my colleagues, but because of some of the work that I have to do.
And it's not my colleagues either. Well, I'm thinking of an old song because I used to play the guitar and sing a lot. And so I liked Peter, Paul, and Mary. And one of the songs they had was called "Blowin' in the Wind." And part of the reason I liked it was because it was about thinking about my journey. What did I want to do in my life? And the kind of the theme of it is, it's all there, it's blowing in the wind, so that you don't have to worry, it'll come to you. So that's what comes to mind for me with your question. And on helping people hear your story, that is so important in what we do. I mean, when we go to talk to legislators or to community groups or to people who don't understand what we do or Ohio Rise and what it does, the best way is to tell them a story about a young person who's been affected. And so what I would say to you about that is keep refining your story, because it is very powerful. And even if people don't want to hear it, develop a short version, kind of like they used to tell us we have to develop an elevator speech. So you have to have an elevator version, but then hold on to that because it is a story of who you are, and it tells a great deal about what is needed in our world today.
Can I add quickly to that, though? And this is the other thing. I believe that everything that happens to us in life is for a purpose, and it's forming your story of who you're supposed to be. Every disappointment, every success, everything that you go through, it's to build that strength inside so that then you can go forward as an adult and conquer anything. And so when people ask you your story, share your background. It's why I always share my background. People think I just woke up as a Supreme Court justice. No. I grew up in Brittany Hills with a teenage mother. And I tell my mom all the time, I think I figured out at 18 months old, because I had some things happen to me. I was in the hospital twice. I said, I think that Yvette 18-year-old brain said, you're in this on your own, kid. You better learn to toughen up if you're going to make this life go. So know that that's in you and just build on it.
Thank you.
Elena, thank you for your question. There's a quote that says, "Our stories are our wealth." And I first heard Michelle Norris say that quote, and our stories really make us richer, and you both really beautifully captured that. All right. Well, I think that those are all of our young people. So that concludes the panel portion. Thank you again for your willingness to do this, and your wisdom was so profound. I'm so glad our young people got to hear it today. Thank you. I'm going to pass the mic here next to PEP's Vice Chair or Secretary, thank you. I'm sorry, Lisa Ramirez-Shaw.
Yeah. Hi, and thank you for being here today. So first and foremost, I want to take a second, and I invite you to stand if you would like to, or stay sitting, but to our question askers, Riley, Devin, Elliot, Noah, and Elena. Those were fantastic questions. Thank you for asking them. Thank you. We're also so grateful. The panel every year at the PEP Rally for Kids we always leave just with so much information and really thinking about the inspiration for the panelists. So thank you to Yvette McGee-Brown, of course, representing Jones Day, and Maureen Corcoran. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. And of course, thank you to the moderating that was done by Habiba. So thanks for moderating the panel. So I want to take a minute to express gratitude. I'm going to try not to cry, right, for two of our incredible leaders. So today is not only Habiba's last PEP Rally as our CEO, but it is also Holly Martin's last as not only a PEP board member, but our board chair. Right? These two phenomenal women have guided us as a board and an organization through challenging, I don't know if that's the right word, I don't know if there is a word, right? Challenging times recently, always giving full of themselves. Their strong convictions, belief in people, especially staff, board members, community, moral compasses have given PEP a strong foundation that will benefit the next generation of PEP leaders. There's a momentum, an energy, and excitement to continue the important work ahead of us to support the soul like Riley, Devin, Elliot, Noah, and Elena. That's who we have all been working hard to support. So I want to take a second to just acknowledge the moment. We're very excited to have our next CEO here with us today. And it's exciting, but also bittersweet to know that this is the last time that we will see you up here on stage as two leaders. So can we please take another moment to thank Holly and Habiba. So I want them up here with me. Just, I think it's important. Hopefully we can get a picture, Susan, at some point, but to make sure. So this is our main fundraiser for the year, right? We have set a goal this year for $150,000. Susan just informed me we are at $142,250. Okay, so thank you for that. We would love to consider this to be another successful PEP Rally, and we ask that you help us to meet this goal if you can, if you haven't already done so. On your tables, there are cards and envelopes. There is also this very convenient QR code for giving. If you happen to have a check, you can give it to a PEP staff member, and we will make sure it gets into the right hands. So please help us send Habiba and Holly off with another successful PEP Rally. Welcome our future CEO in, and thanks again. I don't want this moment to end, which is why I'm talking so much, but thank you so much. So, thank you to all of you for all the ways in which you show up and support PEP's mission, ultimately. And every one of you is here today supporting us, and I know many of you spend many hours outside of here doing that as well. So have a wonderful day and a wonderful summer. Thank you again.